17 people in 13 years. He was sentenced to 16 terms of life in prison for his crimes. The gruesomeness of his actions may make it easy for some to become obsessed with them. In Celeste LeBeau's Dear Jeffrey, we learn about a young girl's crush on the boy in her biology class. A boy who grows up to become the serial killer we know as Jeffrey Dahmer. Dear Jeffrey, what were you thinking? What went through your mind as we sat next to each other in biology class? When the teacher would call roll, when she called out your name, you never really responded to her call. You never really acknowledged her need to hear you say you were there. What were you thinking? What were you thinking as the teacher called out your name? Your name, which at the time went unnoticed. Your name that went unacknowledged. Your name that is now here. What were you thinking as you stared out that classroom window? Were you searching for Neverland? Did you pretend you were Peter Pan? Did you accept the fact that you were the boy you simply wouldn't grow up? Were you thinking of it then? Were you thinking of the unimaginable even then? If so, were you thinking of us? Were you thinking of all of us like that? Were you thinking of every single one of us like that? I wish you could tell me. I wish you could somehow let me know to whom your eyes were drawn. I'm curious the question. It haunts me. I'm curious because my eyes were drawn to you. You were the one whom I gave my attention. You were the one who caught my eye. Did you know any of our names? Did you know my name? There were 17 of us. There were 17 of us in that biology class. It's ironic when you think about it, because that's how many of the newspapers said you killed. 17. Did you know all those boys' names? Did you know any of their names, their full names? I'm curious, did you know or remember any of our names? I knew your name. Did you know mine? Were your eyes ever drawn to me? Did you know my name? The day your story broke, I heard talk of it in the grocery store. I was standing in line, waiting to get checked out. A woman was talking about this gruesome story she had just heard on the radio. When I watched the news that night, I listened to the handsome anchor tell the story of a monster living in Milwaukee, a monster who was just arrested, a monster who had committed the most gruesome crimes. I just sat there, staring at the television, staring at the news anchor and the reporters, talking about this gruesome crime committed by this monster who, at one time, caught my eye. It's funny. Not funny, but funny. The day after your story first came out in the newspapers, I slipped. I slipped and I said I knew you would. I know you. I had gone to this restaurant to meet a few friends for lunch. Of course they were talking about you. They were talking about you, and out of nowhere I just blurted it out. I just blurted out that I knew you. You were a former classmate, I said. I sat next to you in biology. I wasn't prepared for the impromptu press conference. I kept buttering my bread, averting their questions, avoiding their eyes. I didn't have any answers to their questions. The questions coming out of their mouths soon became nothing more than empty white noise. As they continued their banter about the boy I once knew in biology, I bowed my head in silence and focused on the bread. Sourdough, smothered in butter, salty and sweet. I pretended the saltiness was from the tears of a former classmate I once knew, the boy in biology who, according to my friends, obviously had to disregard for life. The boy in biology who, at one time, caught my eye. I thought you were nice. I thought you looked nice. Do you know what I wanted to tell them? Jeffrey, do you know what I wanted to tell them? I wanted to tell them that they didn't know you. I did. I knew you. I wanted to protect you from the media, from my friends. I wanted to protect you.